Welcome to Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates. I'm investigative reporter Sierra Cummings. I've got Andy Parati here. Andy, you've got a wild story for us today.
Yeah, so last week, Friday, about 3 p.m., I get a Twitter message from an attorney that I've worked with for a number of years, and he says, listen, read this thread that I just wrote, and I think you may want to do a story on it. Turns out it ended up being one hell of a story.
536, just confirming you're advising signal 20, front door.
College Park police respond to a home in June 2024.
Oh, thank God.
Hi, how you doing?
After Catherine Jensen says her ex-boyfriend attacked her minutes before they arrived.
So, what happened?
He kicked in the door. I ran. He choked me out. Tried to get the keys from my hand of my truck.
So he grabbed you by your neck?
Handle him myself. I'm too small.
You say he kicked the door in?
He did.
Charles Reed is the man Catherine claimed broke into her home and assaulted her.
She said I kicked in the door.
And why is that a problem?
Because I'm in a wheelchair and have been for 25 years.
Oh, come on.
Charles cannot move his legs. He's paraplegic following an accident when he was a teenager. Andrew Fleischman is Charles' attorney.
She describes that he's of average build,
Tall, short,
Average height.
that he has brown hair, that he's in black clothing,
so all black.
I want to say yes, sir.
but not that he's in a wheelchair. Never mentions it. And that is probably the number one thing you'd mention about somebody.
Especially as they're running away.
On foot.
I guess he took off on foot.
Charles and Catherine did date, but it was more than 20 years ago. They never kept in touch. He's been married for a decade with a newborn. And the day of the alleged attack, Charles says he was at a dinner party with friends. Did police contact you at all?
No, not at all. Not a single time.
You didn't get a phone call?
Not a phone call.
You didn't get an email?
Not an email. Not a visit.
No one questioned you about this?
Nope.
For 9 months, Charles says he had no clue officers had a warrant out for his arrest for aggravated assault until the federal government alerted him when he tried to renew his passport. So he emailed Officer McKinley Boletti and set up a time to meet at the police department last month.
Then I finally go up there literally knowing absolutely nothing about it. I essentially surrendered myself because I was that innocent.
According to the body camera video, Officer Boletti questioned whether he was actually disabled.
Unfortunately, you do have the warrant out for your arrest, so I'm going to have to place you into custody.
Is this a joke?
Charles warned the officer putting handcuffs on would likely make him fall because of his paralysis.
I'm sitting there literally exactly like this in my chair, and so he handcuffs me, and I'm like, hey, like, just FYI, like, I can't move.
I literally can't. I don't have muscle control.
It's too late.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I mean, I could have broken my hip and died, like, very quickly.
How did they respond?
They literally sat there and just watched me writhe on the ground.
The officer still didn't believe Charles was disabled. Neither did his supervisor, who never put his eyes on Charles before saying this.
It's a ruse, man. So, I mean, it's an obvious attempt to not to go to jail,
So,
A fellow officer disagreed.
might need to call the district attorney's office, because if the door was kicked in, he didn't kick it in.
Finally, Officer Boletti admits he could be wrong.
Because now it's looking like she might have made a false report.
He started to hurt me about March of this year, and
A year before Catherine claimed Charles assaulted her, the Noonan Police Department, about 30 miles away, arrested her for theft and forgery after allegedly filing a false police report claiming someone stole from her. Fleischman says officers have access to a state database identifying prior arrests, but Officer Boletti never mentions Catherine's arrest record in the incident report.
I've never seen a case where somebody was so clearly innocent, and it would take so little work to establish it, and nobody was willing to do the work.
it was a tumultuous relationship.
According to this email obtained by Charles' attorney, Catherine wrote to a College Park police detective this week asking to change her statement, writing, "My mental state and physical trauma in that moment worked to confuse me. Please contact me at your convenience so I can edit the information in the report and clear the name of an innocent man." How's this impacted you?
Well, I haven't been able to leave my house in a meaningful way in 2 or 3 months. just out of fear that I'll be picked up for an arrest warrant.
Has the police department apologized?
Not a single bit. Haven't heard a word from them. In fact, we've been trying to get into communication with them repeatedly, both me and my lawyer.
Because ultimately, that's all we're asking for, just to be adults. Take responsibility when you make a mistake and try to fix it.
You know, Andy, I remember us watching the story in our investigative office, and so many of us having the reaction saying he's clearly disabled.
Yeah.
And so you just wonder, like, what steps were missed in this process. Where do we know this case stands right now, the charges?
So the charges have been dismissed. The attorney told me about an hour before the story aired that he got word that the DA's office was going to dismiss the charges. But the city spokesperson literally messaging me, emailing me as the story is being aired saying, hey, we've just dropped the charges. And it took them a couple days to figure that out, despite them having all of the evidence clearly in front of them.
So many people are going to wonder, just like us, were there any policy violations? Because I mean, you feel for that, for the guy who's like, hey, if you arrest me, I'm going to fall, and then ultimately he does fall, and so you just wonder, is there a certain process that these officers should have followed, or is it still kind of like unknown?
Yeah, those are all really good questions, and I think the thing that people, especially his attorneys, are thinking is, was any due diligence done after the interaction with the woman, of them, interviewing her about the alleged assault, the home invasion? Was anything done? And we have requested those records. I sent that records request this Monday. We're still waiting for those records. We're trying to find whether she was ever charged. We're trying to find out whether the officer was disciplined in any way. We've requested his personnel file. We've requested his supervisor's personnel file. Lots of unanswered questions that we hope to reveal down the road.
And that was my next question there,
Yeah.
if we know whether the woman has been charged, but thank you for pointing that out. Still a lot of unanswered questions. Now let's look at it from the family's perspective. I'm sure this was just something that kind of came as a complete shock and really alters their life. How are they doing right now?
I mean, they're relieved. They are still considering a civil lawsuit. They haven't filed that yet. They were supposed to have a hearing in the coming days that would have asked the judge to issue a warrant for the woman's arrest, the woman who made the false report. The attorney told me that they sort of like stepped back. They got what they wanted. What they wanted was the case dismissed. They had to go through a lot of steps and exposure from the media to do that. So they're most grateful for that. I don't know whether or when Charles is going to be filing that lawsuit, but we will, of course, keep you posted on that.
Of course, this is behind the investigation, so we like to take our viewers and our listeners behind the scenes. When you were looking into this case, I mean, you did a lot of work in such a short amount of time, but you definitely did your part to make sure you gave the city the opportunity to speak. I wonder if you got the sense that they were surprised that you were working on the story, or was this the first that they'd kind of heard about it from an administrative perspective? Because I know you were kind of working to get a statement from the city, and it almost seemed like there was some delays with that statement, which made me wonder, okay, are they doing a deeper investigation before they kind of come back to you with comment?
Yeah, so this story came to us quick and fast, and we had all the records. Usually something like this takes months to get, right? And we're not even supposed to have, we weren't even supposed to have the body camera video because it was technically still under investigation as a crime, and under state statute, police departments can withhold providing evidence like body camera video until this case has been adjudicated. But the family, Charles's wife, actually submitted the records request, and she got the video. We have no idea why she got the video. So within a very short period of time, we had the body camera video, we had the incident reports, we have an email from Miss Jensen saying that she essentially reported the wrong person or filed a false police report. And we have interviews with Charles and his attorney all within just a few hours.
Wow.
I stayed late that day until midnight writing the story, and it aired the next day. During all of that, though, the same day that we did the interviews with Charles and the attorney, I went to I sent an email to the police department, to the city, saying, here are all our findings, including the body camera video. And I went to the lobby and I waited for the city spokesperson to arrive to just say, hey, listen, I'm not trying to railroad you or surprise you, but like, I know this is I wanted to explain everything in person. She had just started about 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So she had not been with the city hardly at all. She's a former reporter, worked at CNN.
Quick learning curve there.
Quick
Yeah.
learning curve. So she knew exactly kind of what the expectations were, and she knew our deadline. And I was very transparent. I was like, listen, this is not going to look good. I would suggest trying to get ahead of this. We are probably doing this story sooner than later. They did respond about 24 hours later. With the response, essentially, we're still investigating it. But as we just discussed, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. I will say that I spoke to Miss Jensen's mother.
Yes. How
I
did
never
that
spoke to
conversation
her.
go?
I gave her my email address, my cell phone number, and she never responded.
It's really interesting. I wonder how all that information lends itself to the case,
Yeah.
whether or not this woman faces charges. But like you mentioned, so many unanswered questions. Excellent reporting here. Such a quick turn, but you made sure to do as much due diligence as you could. So thanks so much.
Yeah.
You've been watching and listening to Behind the Investigation with Atlanta News First Investigates. Be sure to watch or listen wherever you get your podcasts.